So good evening, everybody. So I am Pavan, founder of Skyroot. In fact, I think yesterday who all were here might have heard it from Mr. KTR Garu. In fact, I am founder of a proud Hyderabad-based startup, very close from here. And what do we do is, we build rockets. I think something very different from what people would imagine. And so today I'm going to take us slight story into our journey of Skyroot, which is like a bit 4 years old startup, and what we did before, and what is the historic moment which came through in the last couple of weeks, which also we're going to show a small deep dive into that as well. And so just a small background about me. So I was a mechanical engineering student at IIT Kharagpur, very fascinated with rockets. So you see such beautiful machines built by humans. I was very fascinated and in fact infatuated by these machines while I was in college, and then wanted to become a scientist at ISRO. And I also wanted to be an entrepreneur at that point of time. But of course, I didn't have the guts to start a company at that point, but became a scientist at ISRO in 2018. And that was a time, I worked there for 6 years, almost 2012 to 2018, which is 6 years of wonderful journey of working with rockets in India, looking at the kind of excitement to build something of all national pride, these rockets which launch satellites to space, humans to space, et cetera, et cetera. So very pleasant, wonderful time during that time. And there was a thought, especially in 2018, where I thought, can we build rockets privately, in the private sector? Is it possible to even do that? And then in 2018, in fact, the more and more I went deep, I realized that I think it's very, 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 very difficult. In fact, as we say, rocket science is probably, what we say when something is very, very tough, right? So I felt definitely, rocket science is rocket science. It is very, very difficult to do it. But still, I took the step of quitting a very comfortable, very cushy, nice government job at that point of time and started Skyroot Aerospace along with my co-founder Bharat, who has been my friend since 10 years, very close friend, who also was a scientist at ISRO with me, along with me. In fact, we were flatmates there, working together, having lunch, dinner together. So it's been a wonderful journey. And in fact, if we want to put one line to why we started Skyroot, it's just, I think, a leap of faith. We just felt that that was the right time to start a private rocket company in India. But still, at that point of time, there was no policy. In fact, like most people laughed at us, there was no policy, and it is in the domain of governments, right? Rockets are built by governments, rockets are built by ISRO, et cetera, et cetera. So why do you want to build something which is in the purview of governments? It's impossible to do that in the country. And many people said, you need to raise hundreds of crores. You cannot build rockets with, the savings from a government job. So you need to spend hundreds and hundreds of crores to, keep these machines flying. And then, in fact, at that point of time in 2018, I think there's hardly any startup in the space sector which raised funds, which built a big team and doing something significant at that point of time. Still, I felt like probably that would be a good, time to start. So basically, no policy. I mean, no idea whether we'd be able to raise capital. No idea whether we can get the right people. Because these are really big, complex stuff. To build rockets out of India, especially in the private sector, you need to build that kind of talent, which can do something really big in the country. So I had no clue in 2018, just with fascination and a raw confidence that this is very much required for the country, and something which I found is a very good opportunity within India to build world-class products in the space sector. For the world from this country. In fact, we registered the company out here in Hyderabad, and we started out in 2018. And then I think one of the biggest thing which happened is once we started, I think we realized that we met great entrepreneurs. In fact, we said in 2018, I think no fund in India had a thesis for space, and we had to go there, raise large money. And we're fortunate enough to meet, entrepreneurs like, Mukesh Bansal in 2018. In fact, we had one of the largest seed rounds in the sector at that point of time in 2018. And then, 2 years down the line, we raised Series A, which is $11 million Series A, which was in fact led by our Hyderabad-based, great entrepreneurs Anil and Mahesh, who founded Greenco, who's also like, one of the sponsors for this event. So in fact, like what happened with us is when no fund has a thesis for the space sector, the entrepreneurs helped us. In fact, that's what TIE is all about, right? Entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, etc., etc. That's what happened with us. A lot of entrepreneurs understood that this is something going to be something very exciting, very big, a new journey, and then like they supported us. And then, we raised a couple of rounds, and the big event of space reforms happened in 2020. So this was a landmark event which happened in the country. In fact, after the space program started in the 1960s in India. And so this was very exciting. In fact, the Prime Minister himself, drove these reforms, felt that India has a great brains in the space sector, great ecosystem, wonderful journey we had for the last 60 years. We are one of the top 5 countries in the world. So why not open this sector to the private players? And in fact, we'll be very surprised to know that India has less than 2% of the global space market, in spite of being the top 5 countries in the world in the space ecosystem. So that's when, the sector opened up to private players. We, being one of the early players, got this advantage of being one of the first few to build a significant team and and have all the advantages of the ecosystem. And then we signed the first MOU with ISRO, with the Indian Space Research Organization, where we get to utilize their facilities, launch facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And we've done like wonderful progress. We've done a lot of engine testing, ground testing, a lot of technological development, in the country. And in fact, like we have raised $68 million of capital from, starting from where, we had no idea whether we can raise capital to a time where the policy has come through, the capital has come through. We built a 200+ member team. In fact, all of the team is right here based in Hyderabad. And we won 2 national awards, for our contribution to building, rockets and space technology within the country. And it's been like quite a phenomenal journey, I would say, of 4 years, where we started with nothing, where literally we thought nothing was possible at that point of time. And then with that leap of faith, I think we have come to a stage where I think we are one of the leading players in this segment in the country, able to inspire a lot of people, and also like have done phenomenal progress. And then 4 years passed, and then I think the biggest milestone has been reached. We have launched India's first privately built rocket to space just 3 weeks back on November 18th of 2022 at 11:30 a.m. In fact, like I'm surprised to know that a lot of people here, actually, watched it. In fact, the whole country celebrated it. It was all over the news. And in fact, it was celebrated as a big national event, 3 weeks ago. And also, in fact, a much more important point is that we've succeeded in a rocket launch to space in the first attempt, which is a very, very, very rare, one of the rarest events across the world. And in fact, this rocket which we launched, we have just started design of it just a couple of years ago. And then in 2 years, launching a rocket to space, succeeding in the first attempt in the country has been, I think, one of the biggest boosts we had as a company, and also like considered one of the biggest milestones in the country in the space sector. And so I think some of you might have definitely seen the launch. And for those who haven't seen, I think would like to play a small video just to recreate those moments of India's first private rocket launch.
completed.
So that was, some really memorable moments for us, and it's in fact what we call it a small leap for a startup and a big giant leap for the Indian space sector, and that was what you have seen as India's first private rocket launch to space. And then it was, I think, a wonderful, phenomenal celebration across the country. And in fact, that's our team from the Mission Control Center during the launch, and celebrating it like never before. And we had a great celebration at T-Hub here as well at Hyderabad, where Minister KTR Garu has graced the celebration, wearing our legendary T-shirt, which we all wore during the rocket launch. And then, like, great celebration, by, in fact, the entire country, like the Prime Minister and President, visiting us. Good luck on the great, wonderful milestone which we have achieved. And I think this has been a phenomenal journey, I would say, I think, for 4 years, where I think where we had no clue what is going to happen. And literally, we had no signs that things can go right in the right direction, but in fact, the right direction was to space within a very short period of time. And so I think it's a very great moment to cherish. And in fact, recently, the Prime Minister in his Man Ki Baat just a few days ago, he spoke 3 minutes about this launch, and he says, with this, I think this is a symbol of New India, and sky is no limit for anybody within the country. This is what proves after this launch. I think, so if you can build just within 2 years some of the most complex machine, launch it to space, succeed in the first attempt in this country, I think anything can be done. I think this is great symbolism of a great future which we're all after. I think we're proud to be part of this, quite honored to be part of this milestone. However, this is a very small step towards a big future which we are looking at. I think the next big question, in fact, we have to answer is like, why launch rockets to space? Why do we even, very exciting, very fascinating, but why do we even need to launch rockets to space? In fact, today, we cannot live without space technology. I think GPS, we all use GPS, and there is TV, direct-to-home television, which comes from space. In fact, 90% of the Earth's surface, even today, is connected through space. The fishermen use space technology to find the right fish in the ocean. The farmers use it to find pests in their farms. And there are several applications of space, especially in communication and Earth observation, without which we cannot live today. So in fact, even though space is extremely expensive today, still it affects all our lives. But today, in fact, we cannot live without space technology. And rockets are the only means to go from Earth to space. And this space technology is for all. In fact, we say at Skyroot, our core mission as a company is to open space for everybody. And today, even though space is not open for everybody, for example, I think we all are yet to take a ride to space in the future. But still, the space is still not open for all, but still it affects all our lives. But still, the road to opening space for all is what we are set at Skyroot. And I think that's where rocket launch becomes very important, where that's the only way we can go from Earth to space, and that can really change our lives like never before. And in fact, another important question, in fact, we have to answer is, what is the future of space flight? I think today, maybe like 100 to 200 launches happen every year. It launches few humans which go to the International Space Station, which launch satellites to space, which give us all a lot of communication and Earth observation services. But what does the future of space flight look like? So what is going to happen? Just fast forward 20, 30 years from now, what is the future looks like? And in fact, the future is something like this. Every minute you'll have a rocket launch to space, and that rocket lands back from space to Earth. And I think that is going to happen in the next few decades, and that's going to transform life as we know it. Because it will create a future where, in fact, I seen one of the presentation before, the Earth doesn't have enough resources to support the kind of expansion humans are experiencing. For example, in the last 200 years, we have grown by 8 times. And humans are in a very expanding civilization, and Earth is not enough. In fact, space has innumerable amount of resources. In fact, whatever resources we have on Earth have come from space. In the form of all the precious metals have come from through meteor showers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all a great, exciting future where we get access to innumerable amount of resources in space. Everybody can take a trip to space, for a holiday, in the future. Probably every student would launch a satellite to space before graduating, And there is a lot of great future, and just imagine how much inspiration space has, how much great future space can bring. And in fact, in the next 10 years, I think over 50% of the world population will be connected directly via space-based internet. In fact, that will change. Just imagine 50% of the world population getting connected to very high-speed internet directly from space. I think that kind of transformation in India is seen from, I think many people did not have landline phones and directly shifted to mobile phones. I think that kind of transformation is going to happen for a lot of population with the space connectivity in the future. And we can observe Earth every single minute. That gives a lot of data for several businesses, which is going to transform a lot of businesses in the future. And I think, going to space, staying in space, living in space, manufacturing in space, everything becomes a reality once a rocket goes to space every minute and lands back. I think that's the future which we want to build, and that's the future is not far away, probably a few decades away. And I think this launch is one small stepping stone towards the great future for all of us. I think it's phenomenal time to be right now, especially in the space sector, and especially building rockets out from this wonderful country, India. Thank you.